from experience, standing in front of a classroom, 32 6-year-olds, can be scarier than being shot at. As I was doing this and testing the water and figuring out what I was doing in this big civilian world, I was starting to understand myself a lot better and what I really enjoyed and what I've got a sense of purpose from. I had a mentality where you can just do, you're capable of doing anything you want to do.
That fear of judgment is so powerful and it's so huge, but sometimes it's the fear of judgment or the fear of failure for some people. That's what stops us from even just trying and doing absolutely anything.
The plates around me that I was trying to spin, crashing
That's a
around
lot of plates,
me.
yeah. And they were crashing.
Yeah, massively. Someone said to me once, you can do anything you put your mind to, but you can't do everything.
Welcome to the People Performance Podcast. The People Performance Podcast is made up of 3 series. First up, we have the Leader Lounge episodes with founder of T2, Martin Johnson. Then we have the guest interview episodes. And finally, we have our performance episodes delivered by our very own T2 consultants. For now, sit back, tune in and enjoy the People Performance Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the People Performance Podcast with me, Bernice Casserly.
And myself, Rich McCarthy.
Hi, Rich.
Hi, Bernice.
Welcome to T2.
Thank you.
For anyone who's potentially watching or listening to our podcast today, they might be sat listening thinking, oh, Rich McCarthy, not heard that name before. They're watching it thinking, I don't recognise that face. So in case anyone is wondering and thinking that, Rich is brand new to the T2 team, joined us just a few days ago as one of our consultants here at T2. So, Rich, how's your first couple of days at T2 feeling so far?
Busy.
Busy?
Super busy. But enjoyable.
Good.
100%, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And for you, I suppose it's quite a big period of change. I mean, it's, as we're recording this podcast today, it's January, it's 2026. For a lot of people right now, they are going through big periods of change, whether it be at work, but also we know it's that time of year where a lot of people are doing a lot of new stuff, with it being a new year as well. And today, this podcast is an opportunity for our listeners to have the opportunity to just start to get to know who you are and to understand your history, your background and what you bring to T2. And later on, we'll have an opportunity just to explore and find out from your perspective how that kind of first few days has been so far. So if I jump straight in with one question, Rich, and let's just, tell us about you. Where did it all start? And ultimately, kind of what's been that journey that's eventually led you to where we are today, which is being a consultant at T2?
Yeah, of course. I mean, big part of my life was military and education. I was a teacher at one point in my life. I think... to go right back to the beginning, during my education as a young teenage boy, I struggled through it, and I think that's because of my mindset and maybe the belief of other people in me and the influence that had on me. So struggled my way through high school and got to a point where I was wondering what I wanted to do with my life and decided to join the military. Quite a big life-changing moment for me, going into something that was really, really structured, where before I was quite a rebellious teenager.
Yeah.
Joined the army in 2008 in the Royal Engineers. Part of my sort of role was being a combat engineer, so things like bridge demolitions and explosives. Did that for 7 years.
Which must be like super... fun and exciting, being what age? I mean, you're still a teenager, right?
18, 19.
Yeah.
You know, giving me explosives and telling me to blow up stuff in the middle of the woods.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, why not? You know, but doing it in a structured and safe environment.
Of
and training,
course.
definitely. So did all that fun stuff, and then later on in my career, as I went through promotions, the unit that I was in went specialised from a mechanical engineering squadron to... they were called a talisman squadron, so the specialised roles were search. So route proving and clearing of vulnerable points in places like Afghanistan. So it was a search element. My role within that team was a pathfinder in the talisman search team. So quick example, we are driving up a road, we're at the spearhead of the convoy, get to a vulnerable point which will be a crossroads. We would get out as a team of 4 and go clear that route so the convoy could then move on. So a little bit like a taxi service, so with a bit more danger element to it. Did that for several years, really enjoyed it. The camaraderie was amazing, friends for life, all that great stuff that you hear from other people that were in the military. And then got to a point where I was thinking about getting out of the army, maybe wanted to just centralise a little bit more in my life because I've been all over the world. And for some reason, I went into teaching. I was like, okay,
And how old were you at this point?
I will have been turning 25, 26. So going from one career into a completely different career.
Yeah.
Had to work hard at those transferable skills from the military to the teaching, and they were transferable, but completely different contrast.
And what was it about teaching, kind of leaving the military, and quite just by what you've shared there, a fast-paced and energetic role, and quite a lot of kind of challenge in that as well, to going to a setting, going back to education and that environment and teaching? What was it about teaching that, I suppose, created that curiosity for you?
I think at the back end of that military career, I was supporting junior members of the team and the unit, and I was getting what I thought was a kick out of the time, sense of like responsibility, sense of supporting others.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed seeing those junior members then going on to bigger and better things and succeeding because of the little moments and little conversations and little teachings that I had for them. And I thought, what other roles out there in civilian street? And don't get me wrong, my resettlement period back into civilian life was turbulent at times. But you have a bit of an identity crisis coming out of the army, or I did, because I'd labelled myself. I was a soldier. I wasn't Rich McCarthy. I was a soldier, and that was sort of the badge of honour on the shoulder. So I was looking at all these different kind of roles and what I wanted to do, and it was charity work or teaching. Didn't think I had the qualifications at the time to go into teaching. And a friend of mine who was in teaching just said, go for the interview on what they called the Troops to Teachers course, see how you get on. And so I rang them first and I was like, look, I don't have the qualifications to come down and do this, but let me know what I need to do and I'll apply next year. And they were like, no, come down and give it a go. And I was like, this is setting me up for failure here.
Yeah.
No, let me know. I'll prepare for it and I'll come down. They're like, look, just come down. So I went down and taught the other interviewees within the room, was successful, got on a place, went into teaching. And it was that sense of service to others. And I thought, I've done it with adults a little bit in the army. Can I go and do it, in a different environment with children?
Yeah.
So I did a bit of volunteering in the East Leeds schools. Actually, the school that I went to as a child,
Oh,
I went and
really?
volunteered in there. Really,
Was this primary or secondary?
primary school, yeah. So from experience, standing in front of a classroom, 32 6-year-olds can be scarier than being shot at. All right, from experience,
See, I would say secondary school. I did a few placements when I was at uni, and I would say secondary school, they're worse.
Yeah.
Year 9s, because I think they're older. I'd rather be with the 6-year-olds.
Testing the hierarchy, yeah. So I went and volunteered in my old school, and eventually, they offered me a role there after my training of 18 months. And what was really nice, I didn't realise this at the time, I got my new classroom as a newly qualified teacher. I'm sat there and I'm thinking, this feels, nostalgic. And then when I went back home to my parents and looked through old photo albums, my last classroom as a child in that school building was the first classroom I took over as a teacher. So it was kind of a bit of a full circle moment. But did that for 5 years as a teacher. Did other qualifications around that, so my master's in mental health and well-being, and led on the mental health in the school in East Leeds, and it's sort of, as I was doing this and testing the water and figuring out what I was doing in this big civilian world, I was starting to understand myself a lot better and what I really enjoyed and what I got a sense of purpose from. And it was helping other people and seeing them have that light bulb moment, going and succeeding, learning principles and skills that I'd helped them develop to go on and do things in their life. So when I see children, when I'm walking around my old area where I used to live and work, and I see children still, like, Mr. McCarthy, I'm like, he's still cross-country running there? Yeah. So did that for 5 years, went through trying to do a lot of things. Like I said, I'd just done my Masters, tried to do my Masters, my NQT, my newly qualified teacher year, which is taking on a lot of responsibility and workload as a new teacher coming out of training. Tried to do that, the Masters, and my triathlon, like Ironman. I love like doing like hard endurance events. So I did the Ironman, all that stuff in the space of 12 to 18 months, and it was just like,
after just leaving the military as well.
Yeah, because I had a mentality where you can just do, you're capable of doing anything you want to do.
And do you think you've always had that mentality, or was that just leaving the military, okay, completely new world now, let's just do everything?
No, like the opposite.
Okay.
I think as a child going for an education, I had quite a fixed mindset, so I would look at things outside of my comfort zone and would say to myself, I'd love to do that. But I can't because of X, Y, Z. I can't because I'll be laughed at. Or actually, I don't know what I need to do there. I didn't know it was a learning environment. Going to Scouts, for example. Oh, they're all amazing at Scouts. So I might tip up on the first day, have a little look around and go, I can't do that. And walk away. And it got to a point where, on that sort of fulcrum point of what do I do now out of education? Am I going into the army? I had to start changing my sort of inner dialogue, my chatter, because my chatter would spiral and go down that negative sort of rabbit hole. I'd have to start, rather than going, what if XYZ happens and I look silly or fail? What could happen if I was successful at it? Or what could, or even if I wasn't successful at it, what am I going to learn from just being in that environment? And I think from that, I've failed 1,000 times in the army, failed in teaching in moments, and rather than it being held against me, I would turn that into like, what's the silver lining? What's the learning from it? So kind of changed from that fixed mindset to a growth mindset without knowing the terminology.
Yeah.
It's just happening.
Because it's something that we see all the time with the work that we do here at T2. And sometimes sometimes people refer to it as those limiting beliefs that we have of ourselves, but recognizing that it's all part of human nature as well, based on our brain and the way in which we've been designed. We're designed to try and kind of keep ourselves safe and kind of protected to avoid threats and danger. If you're entering into a new situation, your brain will automatically present you with that question of what if this happens, because it's trying to, that part of the brain's trying to protect you from sometimes avoiding that situation entirely, because we don't know what could happen. And also we know that for a lot of human beings, that fear of judgment is so powerful and it's so huge. But sometimes it's the fear of judgment or the fear of failure for some people. That's what stops us from even just trying and doing absolutely anything. So you're able to recognise that that's something that you've experienced yourself. Just going back to what you said there, Rich, around post-military, then doing a Masters and doing your teaching and doing an Ironman, a triathlon. So what switched for you, and how was that being able to manage quite a lot of big things there?
Yeah, so trying to manage it all, I think someone said to me when I was at that point where I could feel the plates around me that I was trying to spin crashing around me. That's a lot of plates,
yeah. And they were crashing.
Yeah, massively. And I think there was things that happened, those plates that smashed were like, I couldn't replace them, I couldn't fix them. They were gone, and I had to figure out I can't keep going this route, because if I look back at the end of my life, and I'd see a lot of smashed plates on the floor, I'll be living in regret. So I think someone said to me once, you can do anything you put your mind to, but you can't do everything. And I was quite conflicted and debated it for a little bit, because I was like, what do you mean? And I think it took a while for it to sink in, and it was just about, do I want to do one thing or a few things really, really well? Or do I want to do 100 things and do them at 10% and again, look back on them with a little bit of regret? Why don't I go all in on certain things? So it was just mapping out for me how I do things in the future. So rather than doing degree, new job, massive, like taking on a massive challenge, I might go, what do I really want to do this year?
Yes.
As a priority, give that my all. And at times when I'm excited, I'm going to do a challenge. I'm going to go do this course.
Yeah.
Right. Remember that frame of reference, what happened last time. Okay, let's plan it out properly and go for the top priority then.
Yeah, because it's never possible to do absolutely everything. And I think there'll be people listening right now thinking, oh gosh, yeah, I remember that time when I tried to do this whilst I had this going on at the same time, and this happened and this happened. And the reality was, you're never going to be able to achieve everything if you're focused on absolutely everything. And how do you, we have a big saying here at T2, simplicity beats complexity every single time. How do you break it down into just, right, okay, what's just that one thing? And I'm a massive advocate of this, even when it comes to whether it be coaching someone or it's at the end of a workshop. What's the one thing that I can focus on that's going to give me like the maximum output, or it's going to kind of move me one step forwards? Because you just can't do all of that stuff, because otherwise, as you say, you're going to end up with loads of smashed plates on the floor. Not possible. I suppose just my curiosity here, Rich, as well. So you mentioned Iron Man. You mentioned around like challenges, and I also know just from spending the first few days with you as well, and speaking to other people who have heard a few stories from you, that you're a bit of an endurance junkie, you might say.
Yeah, a bit of a dopamine chaser.
Chaser. So tell us a little bit more about that. So kind of, what does that look like to you?
I think so. When I first left the army, obviously a big part of that military life is being fit for the job and for the role. And I think you can potentially lose that when you're going out into the big wide world, where some roles don't require you to be physically fit to do a job. And I'd always enjoyed that. Maybe as therapy or, releasing that sort of built up energy and tension, I would continue to do with my health and fitness. And I always remember thinking I would love to do an Ironman. And I was thinking, I've not swam since I was a child, or swim test in the military, not fully swam more than a couple of lengths, breaststroke.
And for people who don't know much about Ironman, that entails?
It's a 2.4 mile swim in open water, straight into a 112 mile bike ride, and then a marathon, 26.2 miles run after.
It's mad.
Yeah, well, this is
to me, that's mad anyway.
I thought so at the time, and I was saying to my friend who'd done them before, I'd love to do one. You know what our rule is, Rich? You book it and then you train for it after. So that kind of like bit goading me into it. So I booked it, panicked, and then decided to get stuck in and be all in on doing the triathlon. So I found it quite therapeutic, and then that led into doing these endurance like challenges or events. And we mentioned dopamine there. I think like the idea of it would give me a massive the next 6 months of routine and structure around fitness and programming is on. I don't have to worry about the next 6 months because I know exactly what I need to do to achieve that end goal. So it's about processing it and then carrying it out. Did the Ironman. Okay, great, I've got a medal. what's next?
Yeah.
Right, okay, it's the journey was better than the destination for me.
And I think, again, it's something that we talk about sometimes in some of our workshops as well, just the brain chemicals. And dopamine is often viewed as that kind of like buzz that you get on the completion of something. On dopamine's that kind of, it's the achievement, it's the success. However, research shows it doesn't last long, which is, even when you simplify it, that's the reason why at times we end up kind of just chasing something again, because that buzz is just worn off so fast. Dopamine can be really great though, because it's the dopamine that gives you like the drive and the motivation to endure and go through that kind of intense training program. But it's then a case of, sometimes for some of us, we expect this big, like, I suppose, release of dopamine when you get that kind of trophy or that medal at the end of it. But for some people, it's almost like a disappointment because you don't get it.
Yeah.
So what happened to you then, and how did you kind of move with that?
Well, I think, like, for one, after the Ironman, you know, I was feeling that week after. I was like, I'm down.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? And, you know, whoever's coined this term, it's like Ironman blues. What do you do? Whether it's a marketing piece or it's just rumoured around the triathlon community, or you book another one. I was a bit like, but I know that won't give me the same buzz right now, or the same dopamine kick to go and do it again, because I've done that. Like,
I know I can achieve it.
I want to do something else that I'm like maybe scared of, or maybe that's I'm maybe feeling it's not within my reach. So, for example, I know that I can now do an Ironman with the training and the tools to go and do that. Why would I want to go and do another one at that moment? That's how I was thinking. I need something that really scares me. And in that moment of doing it, I'm not going to get to the finish line here. What do I do next? Do I quit, or do I dig deep and endure and get through it? So sat down with a friend and I'm just sort of brainstorming ideas, and I said, I enjoy running. Okay, well, why don't you run a marathon? Well, I've done a marathon. You've got a Concept 2 rower in the garage, so why don't you run with that on your shoulder? And for some reason, we're both like nodding in the
Great
coffee shop,
idea.
like,
Yeah, let's do it.
I was like, but I'm used to running with weight in the army. So why do you row?
But a rowing machine, that's not a comfortable carry, is it?
So awkward. And the first time I tested it, I just grabbed the rower, ran down the canal, got 500 metres, and was throw it in the canal because it was so uncomfortable. It was just sitting on my shoulder. But in that conversation in the coffee shop, my friend was saying, well, why don't you stop every mile and row a mile then? Or it was a K to begin with, and we were like, no, let's do, it's a mile each, do a mile each. So I was like, okay. So I did a couple of training runs and then put a big, like, you know, advertisement out there. I wanted to do it for charity. I wanted to have meaning. I'm not a lunatic just going out and running with a rowing machine down the canal for whatever reason.
You must have got some odd looks from people.
Yeah, well, we turned up on the track on the day of the event.
Yeah.
And people were out doing just the Saturday 5Ks, and like, what is going? Gazebo
people out on the park run.
Yeah, and people were like, what is going on? And then the news outlets turned up and stuff,
nice.
and I felt a bit like Forrest Gump with the crowd running round with me. So I ended up running a mile around the track, rowing a mile. Did that till I reached the marathon. Raised some money for charity 'cause I wanted to. It had to be linked to helping other people.
You needed purpose behind it.
Yeah, of course, to help that drive. And the next day came and my friend rang me whose idea it was, and he was like, you didn't look too happy on the finish line. I was like, I never had that moment of being, I'm not getting to the finish line, because the support network around me also wouldn't let me finish if I was feeling I was ready to quit. So I didn't get to that point where I thought the finish line's not achievable.
Yeah.
He's like, Rich, come on. I was like, it's like you're already thinking about what is next. And I was like, I know.
And so I suppose, is it that it's all been to like prove like a point that you can do these big adventurous things? Is it just because you need to be busy? What were you doing it for?
maybe a point to prove to myself, because I feel like at times in my childhood I might have said, you can't do that to myself, that inside chatter.
Yeah.
And then I'd prove to myself that I couldn't do it because I've not even tried.
Yeah.
So now I'd be like, what if I could run a rowing machine, run a marathon with a rowing machine?
Yeah, that's the thing. You've completely flipped the narrative. If you've kind of, I suppose, grown up in that mindset of like, oh, I could never do that, or like, oh no, that's way too scary to do that. If you completely flip the switch where it's a case of now, oh, you know what if I do an Ironman? What if I run a marathon?
Yeah.
What if I like run with a rowing machine on my back? What if? And you've got the belief then that you can do that and you want to push and stretch yourself. It really is like you've completely flipped it on its head.
For me.
But then I suppose, how do you kind of like, because that's like exciting and it gives you that momentum and drive and passion and purpose. But when does it get unhealthy, and how do you manage that if you're forever on that continuous drive of pushing yourself to do courageous and crazy things?
I think it's a good point and a bad point. It's a never-ending journey. You're never going to be satisfied.
Yeah.
So I think I have to think about, I have to put in reflection points and go, what have you achieved?
Yes.
Okay, that's good enough. Like, you've proved to yourself that you can do these things.
Yeah.
Hold your head up high. You don't need to keep proving to yourself that.
Yes.
But then the lessons learned from trying to do that and proving to myself has helped me transfer it into other areas of my life. And it can become unhealthy if you're concentrating or fixating on it too much. If I'm going linear and going, I need to do this before I do everything else in my day that's planned, that can work against me at times. And so I think for me, and I still have to do this in everyday life, remind myself that I'm good enough just the way I am.
Yes. So, really interesting, like, history, background. I mean, making the connections right back to childhood, education, and moving into the military and coming out, teaching and doing all of this amazing stuff kind of outside of your career. I suppose thinking about where you are today, what motivates you now? So in the past, it was that motivation to prove that you can achieve X, Y, and Z. What motivates you today?
I think putting other people first now, that motivates me. Like, coming in, seeing other people, seeing the team, working with other people, learning from each other, like just being around people rather than doing maybe solo endurance events. And I think that's what's really attracted me to T2. You know, that if you open up that website, the first couple of lines is like, we're there to help others.
Yeah.
You know, we are a human-centered approach. And it's like music to my ears, because that's what I've been doing in the army and education, you know, with friendship groups, giving people that time and support, and getting that good feeling from me, knowing that other people are happy because I've showed up for them.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's with the reach that you can get in this job as well, because we work with so many different people in so many different background sectors, industries as well. And everything that we do is ultimately to help people embrace optimal performance and just try and live the best possible lives that they can. So T2, I think, definitely fits. And I remember as well, part of that kind of as part of your recruitment process, we had a conversation as well just around even just the change in your old job to today. I mean, we are very much, you're with people every day, whether it be the team, whether it be out on the road as well. So you can see that connection. If you're someone who's simply motivated to help others, then I would say you're definitely in the right place as well. So exciting times ahead. Speaking of which, today is day 4.
yeah.
I mean, hats off to you, because you've had a really busy few days as well. And for a bit of context for anyone watching or listening, we, as given what we do and who we are at T2, practice what we preach, right? We've spent 3 days as a team of consultants together. We've had the opportunity to explore print, our unconscious motivators. We've had the opportunity to really start to evaluate and review some of the content and our ways of working. We've had the opportunity to explore our attributes as well, and that kind of core makeup that shapes how we think, feel, act and behave. And you've been involved in all of that over the last 3 days. Whilst very much being 2026, brand new year, brand new job, and here I am sat talking about print and attributes. How's the first few days been for you, and what would be like your biggest takeaway just out of those couple of days so far?
I think I've enjoyed it 100%. I've enjoyed it. It's been a lot to take in.
Yeah.
So just cherry picking what's important or what jumps out to me has been really important to me, rather than going, I need to process absolutely every bit of information right now.
Yes.
It's good to take it in and be around that environment. Doing the print and attributes has been really educational for me and really eye-opening, in a sense of like hearing what other people's print and attribute motivators are.
Yeah.
Because it helps me then with my like supporting others. I can like figure out relationships within the team, put my best foot forward within the team. But it's been really enjoyable. It's felt really as a team, and I already feel part of that team coming into it and forming. For me, I think it's just been really fluid on a level where you don't maybe not necessarily have that full new starter mentality or mindset. I've been able to contribute as well, and I've been brought into those conversations to make me feel like valued and appreciated, which I'm a 9-2, you know.
Yes.
Want to have that peace and harmony, want to sort of seek that be appreciated and valued and needed, and that's I felt that catered already for me. So
Yeah.
and you feel that, and you go, okay, what can I do for other people now?
Yeah.
So yeah, like just more of the same, really.
Yeah. And I think, oh gosh, I can certainly think of jobs prior to T2 where, my goodness, if I had started that brand new job and I had the opportunity to sit down with the people that I'm going to be working with and get to know their unconscious motivators, what they're driven towards, what they want to try and avoid, and like it would have made a massive difference to so many working relationships, because even just on Monday, your very first day, new job here at T2, and there we are in the afternoon, have a conversation, recognising, you know what, fundamentally, based on what we're motivated towards, you and I, complete opposites. Yeah. And you know what, everything that you've just said that you hate that's listed on your trigger report, that is me. But the value in knowing that is, you know what, now we've got such a great opportunity to really set up for success with that working relationship, because we're able to value and appreciate the differences there, and we're able to recognise, right, okay, I need to at times sometimes just slow that pace down a little bit, give you the opportunity to actually think before jumping into X, Y, and Z. But then it works both ways, right? And I would, always advocate for people that if you you're listening or watching this podcast and you're thinking, oh my goodness, like I've got a new team, or just, you know what, it's a fresh new year and we really need to get the team together. Using and utilising tools like print, your unconscious motivators, how we communicate and operate, but then really into the granular detail of attributes, it's really powerful, isn't it? And I suppose thinking and recognising that it is a new year, we know with the work that we do at T2 that for so many people, everyone's going through change. Change is continuous. And based on everything that you've learned so far on your journey, what would be like the one piece of advice be to someone listening who maybe is experiencing a lot of change right now, or they're just in a really fresh, brand new environment and they're feeling a little bit nervous, anxious, or their brain and their chimp is saying to them, that's not going to work?
I think it's remembering that well-being it's not a perk. It's not like, okay, I know I'm starting a new job in January, February, March is going to be, a lot of work as well, a lot of things to get head around. So I'm going to book myself a spa in March, April time because I know I'll need it. It's about doing it in bite-sized chunks on a daily and a weekly basis, whatever strategy you have to top up your well-being bucket, let's say.
Yeah.
Like keep it up as a priority, so that when those tough days come, you're able to maybe tackle it a little bit more with a fresh and optimistic mindset.
Definitely. It's like, what are the small things that you can do now to support yourself? Because, we're forever going through change and stress, challenge and uncertainty. Sometimes people, they have that mindset of, right, okay, it's going to be a really tough couple of months, right? So I need to make sure that I've got a week off. And in that week off, I'm doing nothing. And I'm going to go on that spa, or I'm going to go on holiday because I'm going to need that plaster. But no, you're not helping and supporting yourself. How can you almost set up those small little actionable things to help yourself in the moment?
Be preventative rather than reactive.
Yeah.
I always like to think of.
Definitely. And what does that look like to you?
Getting out in nature.
Nice.
I know it sounds so simple and you hear it all the time, but getting out and, whether that's at lunchtime, walking with a colleague to go grab your lunch, or just walking with them while they grab their lunch. Picking up the phone to friends and family when you need to. For me, I personally, I know, like on a weekends when I can get out, see family, see friends, recharge those social batteries. But also sometimes I might need that solitude and just get in the car, going out in the hills or mountains for 48 hours. I'm in a positive mindset. I just need that reset, really.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah. We often say to people, when it comes to just that kind of chemical balance in the brain, if you're in situations, environments that are inducing that cortisol in the brain, which gives that feeling of stress, fear, anxiety, it's how do you find that balance? Because we don't want to get rid of it completely, because a little bit is good, because it helps, right? What is it that gives you that boost of the happy chemicals? So for some people it is, and the same for me, it will always be getting my big dry robe on, looking like an idiot, because some people absolutely take the mick out of dry robes, and I don't care because I'm warm and comfy. Put my little wellies on and just taking the dog for a walk. It's something that's so basic and simple, but I know it immediately gives me that little bit of boost that I need. For some people, it's going out. Some people, it's a nice meal and a nice glass of wine. But it's important to recognise and find, what does that thing look like for you?
Massively.
Yeah. Good. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
So first podcast done. Absolutely smashed that as well, considering that it's day 4, brand new job. So thank you for sharing, and we'll be back soon for another People Performance podcast.
Thank you.
The People Performance Podcast, brought to you by T2.